Monday Bully Live. Tonight, man, we're going to be talking about things that we usually don't talk about. Before I get into the list tonight that we're going to be talking about, I need you to understand something. Every single mistake I'm about to show you is happening to homes right now. I'm talking about good homes, people that love their dogs and they're trying to do the best they can by their dogs. And they think that what they're doing is right. And a lot of times it ends up messing up their dogs. That's what makes this dangerous. It's not the neglectful owners that are actually ruining the bully structure. It's actually the people that are going that extra mile to try and get it right. So tonight we're going to fix that. We're going to go over 9 mistakes, real science, no fluff. We're going to make it happen. And here's the kicker. We're not necessarily going to be talking about the usual things like overfeeding a pup, which is obvious, giving too much supplementation. We might hit on that, but it's not necessarily the way that we've hit on it before. So without further ado, man, let me jump in with the co-host with the most money, Ms. Zyke. Boom, there you go, Kyle. Appreciate you, man. What's up, Mike?
What's up, fam?
Hey man,
we got a lot going on tonight, huh?
Hey, I want to congratulate you and your wife for acquiring that fluffy Frenchie, man. Nothing but love. Bruce Wayne is his name, is what I understand.
Yeah, he's Bruce Wayne by day and Batman by night.
Ah, there you go. You got one of them, huh? I got one just like that, but he's the other way around. Dude goes to sleep at night, and during the day, he's a problem.
He's really cool, man. He's a tri-merle, big rope, fluffy Frenchie.
All right, man. Hey, you ready? You ready to go to battle tonight?
I'm always ready for the best I can be. Anyway, I bring what I got.
Well, we're gonna have a good one. Real quick, let me say what's up to Sulema Santiago, Dracula. We got Michael, Fuerza American Bulldogs, all the way from Oregon. We got Brahman Bulls. What's going on, bro? Hey, if y'all seen black on my hat, man, there's nothing black with my hat. Problem is they're updating their servers, and for whatever reason, they're messing around my hats, man. We got Inserata in the house. We got Rio Grande. Good afternoon. How's it going, Rio? The Bacari. Salute. All right, man. Salute. The Bacari. Bruce is super handsome, says Michael. All right, man. And we got N572. Hello. Listen, we're gonna jump on topic tonight. Let me get everything going here. Mike, I'll be coming back to you here in a second. First and foremost, the one thing I want to talk to you guys about is one of the biggest mistakes, right, that bully owners make. They don't even know this, and it even happens before they even get to bully. It's got everything to do with your floors. Your floors, believe it or not, are destroying your dogs. Any type of floor that's slippery is going to be causing all sorts of issues, right? So hardwood, tile, and laminate floors, they let a growing puppy's paws slip constantly during the most critical development, which is between 4 and 16 weeks. That's important, right? But before I tell you the fix, and it's embarrassingly simple, I must say, I need you to actually think about your floors right now, right? Like right now, what type of floors do you have, right? I need you to have that in the back of your mind. So let me get to this point. The damage that it causes is the puppy's front legs constantly paddle and splay, right? And they're going to splay outward in order to find grip. That's how they're built. They go wider with their legs in order to stabilize. Over the weeks, what happens is this trains the muscles and ligaments to default to the abducted position that they're now getting used to, right? This is your slippery floor making this happen, which you eventually see as easty-westy and toes turned out pasterns, right? A lot of times you're going to blame genetics. You might even blame the breeder that sold you the dog. And you didn't even know that the floors that you had in your house, particularly between week 4 and week 16, was actually causing all of this, right? So let me tell you what the fix is. In fact, let me tell you, yoga mats, rubber runners, right? Interlocking foam tiles, the ones that you see with different colors, right? I've seen a lot of kennels actually have those. We actually put our puppies in an area where now they're on cement, but before that, we used to use floor mats, right? And that's exactly for this same reason. So they have enough grip and it doesn't cause destabilization within the dog structure, right? And what's crazy is the solution of this, usually with 30 bucks, you can actually get it solved. Let me bring in Mike. Mike, what do you think about this point? Bring it up, man.
I'll tell you, I've dealt with that quite a bit and noticed an immediate difference. As soon as I started realizing, hey, they don't have enough footing, change the surface. We found these 5x8 rubber mats that roll out at Track Supply. We also did the puzzle piece padded floors like you're talking about. They work really good. I had trouble with things getting into cracks, pee running into cracks and things like that when I try to mop and stuff like that. But with the rubber mat and with the grip, it's a huge deal for the joints of the pup.
Yeah. Somebody says I'm frozen. Am I coming across frozen right now?
Right now you're not. Right now you're
Okay.
not. It's not your fault. It's StreamYard here recently. Whenever you're about to upload something, it pauses you, not me, just you, until
Okay.
you display whatever you're bringing up.
Okay. Well, no worries. Kyle, do me a
Yep.
favor. So, guys, StreamYard came out with a new poll system that will update immediately. All you have to do is type the number 1 for wood, 2 for tile, or 3 for carpet and hit enter. It will automatically count your vote and we'll put it on here, and will not let you vote twice on the same poll. So do me a favor right now. If you're watching us live, go right ahead, put in a 1, a 2, or a 3, depending what type of flooring you currently have. All right. Perfect storm. And we'll come back to the poll here in a second. There you go. People starting to vote already. Starting to work, man. This is going to be awesome, man. This is going to be very interactive tonight. We got Peter Storm Bully saying, I use rubber mats as well, and just remove the whole mat twice a week to deep clean. There you go. What we did, and Mike, you can tell us how you did it. What we did is we have 3 different mats. The same way when we have a female birthing, we have 3 different kiddie pools, and we just swap them out. And then the one that gets swapped out gets clean. We let it sun dry as long as it's not raining, and then we swap them in, right? It's really that simple.
Yeah, that works. That works well. I heard recently somebody using the like welcome mats, the rubber welcome mats, not the material ones, but the rubber ones.
Yes.
And buying like 30 of them and just changing them out, 2 or 3 times a week. So
that's the best way to handle it, man.
Yeah.
Look at the poll, man. So far, I don't know how many of you voted. So do me a favor, make sure to vote if you're watching this live. We got 50 people up in here live. We got 50% say they have wood floors. 20% are saying they have tile. I'm not so worried about carpet, right? I'm worried about carpet for other reasons, but not for the puppy structure. More for hygiene than anything else, and maybe fleas and ticks. But wood and tile, man, you guys really need to figure out maybe some sort of carpet that you could put. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to carpet the whole floor, but you could have, localized carpet so the dog has good footing, at least between 4 and 16 weeks of age. All right. So look, man, 58% of you, we're going to come back, but 58% of you are saying that you have wood floors, man. Pay attention, man. Make sure that you make that change. Kyle, go ahead and bring that poll down. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the next one. I told you guys I'm going to give you 9, and these are not your usual ones, right? This next one, I got to tell you, I have found a lot of you hitting me up and asking about raw feeding over and over again. How do we raw feed? What do I give the dogs? This, that, and the third. So tonight, if you're feeding raw, this is going to be an exceptional, or even if you're thinking about it, it's going to be an exceptional live, because Raw feeders that are loading up on chicken, this guy right here, right? And pork as their primary proteins. Money Mike, you spoke to me about this a couple of weeks ago. Thinking they're doing everything right without balancing omega-3 sources. Okay. So basically, what I'm already starting to tell you is that chicken, right, is actually higher in omega-6, and so is pork, right? So tell you what, if I'm freezing really bad, then I'll just come over here and let me know if I'm freezing or not.
No, you're good.
Okay, so omega-6, right? We know that creates skin barrier, but it also creates more inflammation. When you have it at a higher rate than a 5-to-1 ratio, 1 being omega-3 and 5 being omega-6. One of the ways that you can actually control this is by removing the skin off of the chicken. Okay, you remove the skin off of the chicken, you're resetting the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, which is really important. So let me just say this. Stop. I need you to forget everything you think you know about raw feeding for the next 60 seconds. Just stop for a second, right? Because what I'm about to tell you is the blind spot that every experienced raw feeders miss, right? And I already just told you about the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, right? But it also creates, if you're feeding pork and chicken with the skin, it creates a low-grade pro-inflammatory state inside of the joint capsule. So inside of your dog's joint capsule, there's inflammation. So
it's bad for the joints, but it also hurts muscle growth, right? Inflammation.
Well, let me tell you what it does long-term to that joint. So let's say you're hammering a nail to a wall and you hit your finger really bad. What usually happens when you hit your finger real bad? You're going to get some swelling, right?
Yeah, it hurts like hell. It'll swell up pretty good, yeah.
Right. So it's going to swell up. So there's inflammation in that area.
It's harder to move the thumb then after that.
Correct. And the body, what it's going to do, inflammation stops. First of all, it alerts you that you're in pain and to not be touching that area because it's already been damaged. 2, it's going to start the reparation effect. That's what swelling is there for. And reparation usually makes things thicker, harder, and stronger, especially when it uses scar tissue, right? So the reason I'm bringing it up is because if you have inflammation at the joint or anywhere else in your body is thinking it has to make it stiffer and bigger and more dense. And you may be thinking, well, I want a bigger, more dense dog. Yeah, that's not the way it works with joints. The more density you're going to have in that joint, the more stiff movement you're going to have when your dog is 1.5 to 2 years old. And that's why you're seeing so many dogs going in the ring, and when they're running around a circle, they're stiff, right? You'll see the paw coming in from the outside, and that's because there's no compensation on the shoulder joint. They either have restricted shoulders or there's no compensation on the shoulder joints. So make sure that if you're going to be feeding pork and chicken, first of all, if you're feeding chicken, you can't be feeding it with skin every day. And secondly, if you're going to be feeding pork, make sure you're not feeding it more than twice a week. Otherwise, you're going to be throwing this omega-6 to omega-3 ratio out the window.
Would it be a bad idea to supplement with omega-3 capsules or something like that in those cases?
I was just going to say, what we have done, and you've seen our videos, there's not me throwing fluff at you. You've seen our shorts. We feed our dogs sardines and water. Mm-hmm. Sardines and water, man. That's the best omega-3 your dog's going to be getting. It's super cheap. I mean, at least still over here in our neck of the woods, we're paying $1 a can. Yeah. You really can't beat it. So, your raw diet is causing joint inflammation. There's your sardines right there, man. That's all you got to do is take the skin off of the chicken, start adding sardines. Make sure you're not feeding pork more than say
You know,
twice a
the
week.
tricky thing about this inflammation is it can rear up pretty high and be something that, you know, anybody would see and be able to deal with. But the tricky part about this, y'all, you have to have the knowledge, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be enough to really affect the dog, but it's going to
Yes,
be not enough for you to just notice with an untrained eye. So
this
you
is
really
true.
got to kind of learn what this looks like when, like he said, when the legs are flipping out and things like that. Watch the movement of the dog. It's really good to watch your dogs move. You can tell if they have inflammation. That's the best way to tell. You're
Yeah,
not going to see it in the joint very much.
no, you're not going to see it when they're younger either. Kyle,
Mhm.
do me a favor, drop that poll. There you go. Drop the poll. Give me, I want to know, those of you watching us live, how many of you are adding omega-3 supplementation? It could be sardines, or it could be just straight up, buying capsules. It doesn't matter. Give me a 1 for yes, a 2 for no. I really want to get to know where you guys are at and if this information is actually helping you out. So go ahead and stop for a moment and drop either a 1 or a 2. All right, a 1 or a 2. Let's see where you're at. Upper Deck. Adam Field says a 1. He's supplementing. Upper Deck supplementing. Dracula supplementing. Oh, you guys are flying, man. D. Taylor Lux. We got okay. All right, there you go, Delvin Baker. Hey, we reached out to somebody, man. That's pretty good. Let's see. Okay. We have a story over here. Rio Grande says we had fed pork and given garlic daily, and pup still came out positive to parasites. So we just don't feed it to our dogs anymore. Here's the deal, and especially if you're dealing with, like, pork that was caught, that was being hunted. I don't know if that's the case with you. Pork has an insane ability to catch just about every parasite you could think of and be able to live. I don't know what it is about pork.
It's the riskiest meat when it comes to parasites, for sure.
Yes. If you are going to feed pork, if you are a hunter or you have gotten meat from a hunter, which I have in the past, but we froze the meat for 22 days.
22 days. That's so interesting. It takes
Not
that long.
21, not 21 and feed it 22 days, right? You feed it for 22 days because it's going to kill not only the parasites inside of the meat, but it will also kill the parasite, the larva, and the eggs, because the eggs have an ability to be able to resist cold, freezing temperatures. But you got to keep it for 22 days frozen, okay? So right now, look, man, majority of the people here, they've been watching us. 87% is saying that they're definitely supplementing with omega-3s, right? Good deal. Nadine's down below, man. And Sarata says sardines and salmon oil. That's phenomenal. Sykes Pup says, is what makes the pig such a survivor. Very hard. I agree. I mean, you got to give it to them. They are very hardy, but they're full of parasites, man. Perfect Storm. I don't use pork or chicken. Beef and fish have been great for my yard. Let me tell you, recently here in my yard, we actually got ourselves a different protein source. A protein source I feel is going to be better than chicken in the long run, and it actually even has a better omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. And I'm talking about none other than rabbits, right? They're easy to, they reproduce easily. They're easy to feed, easy to maintain, and eventually, once we transfer our dogs over, I'm going to give you guys side-by-side results. I'm going to divide my yard. I'm going to feed some chicken. I'm going to feed some rabbit. And I'm going to show you guys what happened in a month, right? That's how we're going to roll with it.
Not only do rabbits reproduce fast, but they have great manure. You know, their fertilizer from their poop is really good for a lot of things. It's not like chicken poop that can be so rich in nitrogen you can't hardly use it. It's really good stuff. And then I talked to my brother for you about that when we had discussed that, and he said, as long as you keep your males and females separate.
Yeah.
And then when you breed them, you put them together, let them do their thing, and immediately separate them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the females will castrate the males.
Really?
Soon as they get done with them, if they don't get away from them, they'll castrate them.
Yeah, you just got to do their thing, man. In and out, you know.
Get them out of there. Yeah.
That's why Playboy listen, let's not get off a topic here. I'm about to get on the rant. All right, let me jump here. Go ahead and take that poll down, Kyle. We'll come back to him later on. Let me go ahead and bring up the next point I want to bring up. And better yet, Kyle, can you bring up the calcium supplementation poll? I want to ask you guys this question first, so I could then hit you with the facts right after. So if you could bring, it's the next poll down, Kyle. Oh, okay. My bad. It wasn't there. My bad. All right. Threw a curveball. Never mind. If you're feeding calcium supplements to your dogs, do me a favor. Just go ahead in the comments and say, yes, I'm feeding it, or no, I'm not feeding it. Now, let me give you a little heads up on the calcium supplementation. If you are feeding raw, right? If you're feeding this especially for raw feeding owners, adding extra calcium supplements on top of everything, right? Already balanced raw diets, right? Thinking more calcium means stronger bones, right? Raise your hand in the chat, right? Let me know if you're feeding calcium or not right now. Let me let you know. Calcium in excess is equally as damaging as if though it was deficient. I've spoken to you guys about the relationship that calcium and phosphorus have. They have to maintain a particular ratio in order for the dog's bone to develop correctly. Too much calcium disrupts the calcium to phosphorus ratio. It triggers hypertrophic osteodystrophy, HOD. Look it up, man. Not making it up. Causes something called osteochondrosis dissecans, all right? OCD, and can literally calcify soft tissue early. So, you ever seen a puppy, Mike? I know with the XLs, you see it more. You ever seen a puppy that has like a big knot right where the leg bends, and when you touch it, it feels like either tendon or cartilage? Yes. Right. You go ahead and you feed a lot of calcium. What's going to happen is that tendon, that soft tissue will calcify, will become bone. So rather than giving you the flexibility of movement and what it's meant to do, you will over calcify it. Now you have a dog that doesn't bend its leg and walks around like it's on stilts, right? So now I got a couple of people saying NuJoint DS, NuVet Plus NuJoint DS. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this whole thing right here, because I see Rio Grande saying NuJoint DS. That's the wrong answer. I'm going to tell you why here in a second. NuVet Plus and NuJoint DS. That's the correct answer. Now, NuVet Plus and NuJoint DS, which is right above here, by the way. What it is a multivitamin, which is the green bottle, and joint support, which is the blue bottle. Now, the blue bottle is not only joint support, it is an anti-inflammatory. This is really important. Remember, we were just talking about that stiff shoulder that your puppy had, right? And all of a sudden, you start feeding it NuJoint, and all of a sudden, those anti-inflammatories come down, but at the same time, it's giving it glucosamine and chondroitin, so it can fill that area with the necessary rebuild that it needs, but not overly allow it to rebuild to where it's going to become stiff. In addition to that, vitamin C in NuVet. Okay, NuJoint has vitamin C. Just hear me out. NuVet has vitamin C, but it also has the appropriate amount of calcium to phosphorus ratio, along with supporting cast of minerals and ingredients in order to reset that in your pup, right? So when you hear me say, how many of you are feeding calcium? I already knew some of you were going to say, well, I'm feeding NuVet NuJoint DS. I already knew that beforehand. But if you look at the amounts that it's actually giving your pup, it's almost impossible for you to overfeed calcium and phosphorus to your pup unless you're feeding the whole bottle every time it eats. That would maybe be the only way you'll be able to do it. This is why it's so important. This is why I have recommended throughout the years Nuvet NuJoint DS, because it resets, particularly when that puppy is in its most influential state, which is week 4 to week 14. Anything you screw up there, you're going to see it by the time the puppy becomes a dog at age 2. Either way, if you're trying to get Nuvet NuJoint DS, our code is 513237. Don't forget, you get 13% off with AutoShip. Not only that, if you do AutoShip with our code, you're going to get a free one-on-one consult with me. I don't care if it takes 30 minutes to an hour. We're going to sit down FaceTime, and we're going to figure out whatever's going on with your dog. Just throwing that out there.
Does that issue with the balance of calcium start at 4 weeks, because that's really when they're first getting away from mom's milk?
I would say, well, here's the thing.
Because you're giving the mom calcium supplement, to say the least, when they're lactating, you know.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You know, nature, that's why nature is so perfect. Mom's body kind of prioritizes her and her milk production over just about anything. So, mom is not going to necessarily be giving the pup too much calcium, right? It's almost like NuVet. If you look at the NuVet
No,
bottle,
I mean, like them having an issue with calcium at the age that they start coming off of mom's milk and they start eating. That's, the 4 week to 14,
right,
like you said.
Yes. If you're feeding a raw diet, which already has raw bone in it, by the way, guys, please do not feed raw bone to any pup that's under 4 weeks old. I'm sorry, 4.5 months old. Please grind that bone before you give it to them. But if you're already doing that, right, you don't need to go get calcium supplements and hit them with that.
That's right.
I know that NuVet has calcium and phosphorus in it, but it's not enough to push the puppy over the hill, right? Which you don't want to do between weeks 4 and 14. In fact, you don't ever want to give your dog too much calcium, because at first it could calcify soft tissue, and later on down, it could even start calcifying the arteries on the heart. So you don't want to be giving your dog too much calcium, particularly in supplement form, okay? When a dog eats, say, chicken with bones in it, okay, for those of you that are feeding raw, I'm sure at some point you're going to notice in poop, you're going to see some white little poop balls, right? That's the dog just naturally getting rid of calcium. Problem lies sometimes in some calcium supplements that are not going to give you calcium in the same form as, say, the bone, right? It may be a different form. It may not be calcium gluconate. It might be some other form of calcium. And that might stick more than the chicken bone that you're just feeding to the dog, and the body's able to say, okay, decipher real quick, okay, yay or nay. And the same goes with NuVet, right? So I just want to throw that out there. I don't ever want you to be confused and think, well, because I'm feeding raw, I shouldn't feed NuVet. No, you should. The amounts of calcium and phosphorus are just enough to reset, not enough to push anything over. Plus, the type of ingredients that you get in NuVet are human food grade level. It's cold pressed, and it's completely bioavailable. I think I've said that many, many times before. So just wanted to throw that to you guys out there and let you know that, yeah, even if you're feeding raw, you could definitely feed NuVet. It's not going to tip the scales. But if you're exclusively feeding calcium supplementation, you can definitely push it overboard. And you definitely don't want to do that. All right. So just hitting on that point. With that being said, let me jump to the next point, which is going to blow your minds, because a lot of you, and I've said this before, a lot of you, like me, use kiddie pools, right, to whelp your puppies, which is great. Hygienically, it's phenomenal. We buy 3 kiddie pools per birthing mom, and we trade them out, right? And so there's always 2 kiddie pools where mom is at, the one she's on and the one below it, and one's outside that's been clean and drying. if anything were to happen, if she got diarrhea or she threw up or anything, we're able to just swap it out and we still have another one that's completely clean underneath. But there's a big curveball to that. And the curveball to that is this that I'm going to show you guys right now. It ruins the structure before they open their eyes. Do you see the flooring inside of this whelping box, right? And I will dare to say, because it's plastic, the same goes with kiddie pools, right? They're plastic. And because it's plastic, those little puppies, they don't have the ability to really gain traction, right? Neonates, they need tractions to push off and stimulate normal limb development. So when they don't have traction, that's when the problem arises. On slick surfaces, their front legs, they splay laterally. Remember we were talking about tiles before? This is basically the same thing, possibly even worse, because you're doing it since they're neonates. So now their muscle memory and their everything in their body is saying, walk around, you know, with your legs all the way out or with your elbows sticking out or whatever. This is basically the origin point of puppy swimmer syndrome. If you've never seen a puppy that's a swimmer, usually happens when the litters are small and then, you know, they have all the milk that's accessible. They become too overweight and then they're not able to stand up because they just don't have the strength, right? Well, something very similar could happen if you have them on a slippery surface, including early pastural weakness, right? But it starts in the whelping box, weeks before most breeders are even paying attention. Remember what I said about the floors, right? This is the same principle, but it starts at day one, right? Do me a favor, Kyle. Can you drop the pole that goes with this? We should have it back there. Definitely want to see how many of you have made this mistake. That's the poll. Do me a favor. Drop a 1 if you guys have had a kiddie pool without something in there to give the puppies traction. Go ahead and type a 1, enter, or a 2 if for whatever reason you didn't do it. I like to know how many of you have actually. Yeah.
Go ahead. I spent a lot of time in the whelping room during these early stages, just making sure, just calculating and trying to make sure I was getting everything done. And footing was the biggest deal, man. We tried a few different things. The two things that I found the best, I got a 4x4 whelping box, 2 4x4 sections in it. It's 8 foot total. That 5x8 foot rubber mat gave me a little play. It worked better than anything. And then inside of the whelping, you know, they've got all the footing they need there. But I was going to like a thrift store once a week or so and buying $25, $30 worth of face towels and hand towels. And I'd throw a dozen or 15 of them in there for them to push around and step over and onto and all that. And that makes them calculate where they put their feet and stuff. It seemed to help having that different depth in there and something that's not slick also to go with the rubber. But everything else I tried, I pulled out of there. That was the best thing I could find, a rubber mat and those face towels and hand towels.
Echo Bullies is saying blankets. I don't know about hand towels, in my opinion, because they seem to be, at least the ones I'm thinking of are little square hand towels where a puppy could step on it and kind of push it out the way. It could still slip. But
I'm talking about the
you're talking about the longer ones.
Like one you hang and dry your hands with, yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's definitely 4 or 5 times their body size. Okay. What I use are the rubber mats. Just little rubber mats we throw there. And again, those two are very easy to wash, you know, to take out and wash or whatever. But yeah, right now, let me.
I found that the reversible, you know, those blankets you get that you lay out that have like the rubber paw prints on one side and they're gray on the other. even those, man, those are 4 whelping boxes. I did not like the footing with them, man. I've got a bunch of them. They love to sleep on them, but they still will slide out like this if that's all they got.
Let me tell you something, man, especially when they're about to start taking their first steps.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing the difference. One of them little, I have even put in there a rubber mat that at the very top has very shallow or very short carpeting, and you'd be amazed at how those little puppies are able to straighten themselves up and stack and do all sorts of things, man.
I had one that looked just like that image you put on the screen. The feet were starting to do this in the front. And I noticed it the very first day he was doing it. I said, and I put rubber down and immediately pulled his feet back under him good. I had no problems after that.
Yeah, that's the best thing. Look, man, they've been listening though, man. 86% say they luckily haven't had to deal with that. So I'm glad to hear it, man. I'm glad to hear it. But for that 13% of you that have, I hope you guys were able to learn something as we're speaking. Because, man,
it's hard on the hips and elbows too, man.
Hips and elbows are number one on the list when it comes to that one. Now, let me take you guys to this next one. And I do want to ask this question first. Hopefully I put in yep, I sure did. I'm going to go ahead and throw it on there, Kyle. I want to know how many of you puppies between, not 4 weeks, but puppies between, say, 8 weeks and 14 weeks, how many of you are actually putting either a collar, walking them with a collar, or a harness? Let me know. Drop a 1 or a 2. Are you walking them with a collar or a harness? I'm going to give you guys some information. It's going to blow your brains out as to how you could be causing structural issues in your pups, especially during that age. So make sure to go ahead and drop your numbers on there. All right. Let me start by saying this. When you walk a puppy on a collar, not necessarily on a harness, with any consistent forward leash tension, which you're going to have because typically they are puppies. Now, if you have an 8-week-old puppy that walks around on a leash with no tension and it's got a collar, this doesn't pertain to you. This pertains to the other 99.99% of us that an 8-week-old little puppy is going to want to yank on the leash. All right. So constant neck tension, right, from the collar pressure. What it does is it changes how the puppy distributes the weight on its front legs. You probably never thought of that. All right. The dog habitually loads the front assembly different when it's having when it's pulling on that leash, training asymmetric muscle engagement in the shoulder, chest, and front pasterns during the window when those pasterns are being permanently set. So believe it or not, and look, we got 100%, which I knew we were going to hit a high number because I've rarely seen a 10-week-old pup on a harness. They're harder to control. I get it, right? But look at that. 100% are putting a collar and a leash on their pups, and without knowing, may be causing damage to their pups. This is one of those things where I know some of you are going to say, well, my dog is fine. And I'm not saying your dog isn't fine. What I'm saying is you don't know yet because the damage from this is not going to show up until your dog is 18 months old to possibly 2 years. You're not going to see it at 8 weeks. That's just it, right? So how do you fix this, Mike? I'm pretty sure you know the answer by now.
Yeah, well, yeah, for us, if I put collars on them at all, it's just to keep them from running off. I don't drag them and I don't let them fight. I don't do that with them at all. I don't do any of that resistance. And I don't have to put collars or anything on my pups, unless I'm, out around cars or something like that. But, they'll normally stay pretty close to me. I think harnesses, It's tricky, man, because once they're
Mhm.
old enough, you want to work with at least a show lead or something like that, control the head high and control the posture of the dog. Whereas a harness teaches them to pull. That's why they weight pull with a harness. But it is better for the structure to not be snatching around and things like that, fighting and making them torque down too hard on those joints.
I could tell you in my yard, um, between 4 and 14 weeks, bro, we're not putting nothing on you. You're just going to
That's
walk
right.
around.
That's
That's
right.
just
That's it.
that's just. I mean, you're not going to a dog show at 14 weeks. At least not in my yard.
No.
So we just let you just walk around, do your thing.
Mhm. If you
But
control them, that's best. No collar, no harness, no nothing.
yeah, that's possibly the very best way to handle it, in my opinion. But if you did have to put something on them, you got people that live in an apartment building or something like that, I strongly recommend you considering a harness. I know it's going to be tougher to control the pup because the harness is more front motion that you're going to be able to slow down, but you can't control left and right as good as you can with a collar. I get it. But as far as their structure, that's what's better, right?
Mhm.
So, Mike, this next one, man, I get hit up all the time on this. And when I tell people the fix, they look at me like I'm oh my God, I can't believe this. So early antibiotic use, right? Hear me out. If you have early antibiotic use in your pups, so for example, you had a puppy with an infection, vet prescribes amoxicillin, right? Or Lord forbid your dog had parvo and they had to put them on all sorts of antibiotics or whatever. The reason I'm bringing up antibiotics is because poor probiotic support or inconsistent raw diet during growth. Just hear me out. And not connecting any of that to structural outcomes will cause your dog to have issues. All right. So let me flip your thinking here for a second. I know I'm setting this up and I'm taking long, but when I get to it, you're going to understand clearly. Basically, you need to stop thinking about bones and joints for just a moment. And I need you to start thinking about the gut, right? Because your dog's gut health is determining their bone quality, right? A sick dog is not going to make great bone. It's just not going to happen. This is why the sickly dogs, the real runts, people call runts the smallest dog in the litter. That's not how it works. The real definition, the runt, is usually a sickly dog that will never develop bone like the rest of his mates because it's sickly, right? Well, think of the same thing about gut health. If your dog doesn't have adequate gut health, it can't make bone at the same quality as the healthy pups. It's just not the same, right? And almost nobody in this space is making that connection that I'm talking about. So let me give you some insight, right? A leaky or compromised gut absorbs zinc, absorbs copper, absorbs manganese poorly. Let me repeat that. A compromised gut absorbs zinc, copper, and manganese poorly. Most breeders focus on calcium and protein, and that's it. Man, what a mistake you're making. I'm just letting you know. Because copper deficiency causes defective collagen crossing link in bone and cartilage. So that tightening that you want to get so your dog looks nice and straight, right, is being affected by how the dog's body is able to absorb copper. How about them apples? You get structurally weaker dogs whose connective tissue looks normal until stress reveals it. So, little puppies in the house all the time, everything's great. All of a sudden, as it's growing, you're put on the yard and he's starting to move around. And now all of a sudden he's starting to look east-westy, and things are starting to look a little out of whack. And you never put together the fact that when he was 2 months old, you had to give him amoxicillin for 10 or 12 days. What happens when you give antibiotics, or when we take antibiotics? What happens to your gut, Mike?
Yeah, it ruins your healthy bacteria and your microbiome.
Correct. So if you're gonna get rid of the healthy bacteria,
you got to put it back.
You got to put it back. Otherwise, man, you're gonna have some serious issues. You're gonna have leaky gut issues with your dog. Let me bring the picture. Bad structure starts in the gut, not in the genes. Get that through your head, man. A lot of you don't put those two dots together, and I get it.
They've done. That's really good information, man. That's good for people and dogs. Your gut health is so important, and it is for your dogs too.
So here's the thing. I get asked a lot. So what type of probiotics do I give my dogs? Now, listen, my answer is exclusive to me and my yard. Green tripe, I have nothing against green tripe. It's just that where I live, it's very difficult to get. And when you do get it, it is extraordinarily expensive, right?
It's hard to get it and keep it regularly.
Yes,
we use kefir, and then one of the things I use that I learned from you is refrigerated sauerkraut from the refrigerator section, and sour cream.
That's it. Those work. You know, I'm always evolving, Mike. If you go back to a video of mine 5 years ago, I'm probably saying something totally different than I'm saying now.
Yeah, it's the breed is evolving, kennels are evolving, we're all evolving.
If you don't change and you stay in one place, you better have a damn good reason, right? Mm-hmm. Damn good reason why you're staying in that one place. Otherwise, you're not, this is a game. You've heard this term before. This is a game of inches, right? Mm-hmm. Dog breeding is a game of inches. So is baseball. So is football. So is anything else. It's a game of inches, right? And if you could gain a 1 inch advantage towards every other breeder that's competing against you, it makes a world of difference, right? So what I want to tell you is this. The way that we hit probiotics, that we're trying out probiotics right now, is we've actually evolved forward. So Mike just brought up sour cream, right? I always wanted to give my dogs, say, sauerkraut over sour cream for the same reason I'm going to tell you now. Dairy can feed yeast in your dogs because dairy has a type of sugar. It's called lactose, right? Some people are lactose intolerant.
I want to show y'all something. If you would take the screen a minute, I want to get something real quick.
Go ahead. So, long story short, guys, what we're doing is we're actually getting coconut-based yogurt that has probiotics, 3 different strands of lactobacillus, of the good bacteria that you need in the gut, that are actually put into that particular type of yogurt. It's inexpensive. It's very effective, and it works for us. So I just wanted to throw that out there just to see, for you guys to see that, there's many ways to skin a cat. Either way, I want to know how many of you are actually using probiotics actively, right? Drop a 1 if you are, drop a 2 if you're not. And this way I know if the information I'm providing to you is actually, it's good information, but I want to know how many people I'm able to help out tonight. Nadiz is saying kefir, green tripe, and sauerkraut. Okay. Plain organic yogurt. Okay. But keep in mind, plain organic yogurt, right, has lactose, right? I'm just letting you know. Kefir is low in lactose. Yes, it is. I'm also giving chamomile tea. Okay. All right.
Let me show you something, Raul.
Yeah. What you got, Mike? Let me go ahead and bring you up.
So we just started using this with this most recent litter. It's called Benebac Plus.
Benebac Plus. Okay.
Yes. And it's a white powder, like like creatine. It's just a fine white powder. It looks like powdered sugar, but it's not fluffy like that. It's a denser powder like creatine. It looks just like creatine. And this
It's
is a
tough.
probiotic.
Hey, it
And
works.
a pinch
Listen,
of this with each pup in there, we just put it straight in the mouth. We don't put it in their food because it's hard to manage it. Just take a pinch of that. You can take a wet fingertip and stick it in that thing and put it right in their mouth and run it around. We do each pup like that.
good.
This worked really well for us. It's the first time we've tried it, but it was a good product. I would recommend it.
All right. Well, I'm glad you brought it up. I will tell you, right, that one of the ways that you're able to handle this, right, so your dog doesn't have leaky gut or any of that, is fermented foods. So
Mhm.
Mike had brought up the sauerkraut, which is something that I've been giving my dogs, still giving that today. But I've actually changed the way I give my dog sauerkraut. Nowadays, what I do is I'll either get some of that coconut yogurt with the 3 strands, or if not, I buy them little greenie packs, which brings nothing but probiotics, and I'll throw it in there and I'll let it ferment for about a day or two. And that's how I give it to my dogs now, fermented. That way they get the most benefit out of it. The other way you can do it, which has been done throughout time, is green tripe and rotating organ sources, right? Like liver, kidney, spleen. Now, me personally, the way I run my yard, I am staying away from feeding my dog's liver. That's why I rather feed Nuvet NuJoint DS, because we know in this country the amount of steroids and growth hormones that are fed to animals ends up where? In their liver. And so you start feeding that to your dog. Next thing you got something growing out its neck, and you don't even know how I got there. And that's the main reason why I stay away from organ meats.
Yeah, I hope y'all hear what he says. So like liver's great for the dog. It's that you can't get good liver because of what they do to provide livers in abundance.
Yep.
They mass produce these cows and these birds, and so it's got a lot of toxins because that's where the toxins go in the body. But if you had
Yep.
an organic source, a farm source or something,
That'll work.
it
Yeah.
is good, but it's once again like the tripe for us, it's hard to get that regularly in abundance.
Yeah, yeah. Like Joshua over here, he says, I use liver, but I have my own grass fed, fully. Yeah, yeah. There you go, man. You got your own cows. You could definitely feed liver. I'm not against it. But if you're out here where I live, it's nearly impossible. Let me go ahead and take down that poll, which, by the way, it doesn't surprise me. We got 93% of the people feeding probiotics. We only got 7% that are not. I'm glad that it's beneficial for that 7% that's watching. But I'm also glad that the majority are actually, feeding probiotics to their dogs. Let me ask you guys something, man. I kind of want to ask you guys, how many of you allow puppies to jump up and down from your sofa? Be honest. Ain't nobody here going to hold a gun to your head or anything, but let us know. How many of you actually allow your dogs to jump up and down from your sofa, jump, play around, even throw a ball, and let them run after the ball that's bouncing up and down?
I'm going to give them a second answer before.
Yeah, let's give them a second answer.
Yeah.
Well, look, majority of them are saying that they don't, which is
so that's great.
Interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting.
It's interesting because you would think they would, but I tell you, even when we let our puppies go, when they go to their homes, I tell people, like, if you ask me what the most important thing is, protect your dog's soft tissue. Do not let them jump off the bed, jump off the couch, jump off the porch, jump out of the car. Do not do that. That is the quickest way to be calling me in a year asking me why your puppy's now limping all the time. And it's not my fault, it's yours. And that's why. That's what happens.
Yeah, pay attention, guys. So owners using repetitive ball or toy chasing, or allowing the puppies to jump down or up from the sofa as a primary exercise method for growing puppies, believing it's safe because it's natural play, Actually, this one's going to upset some people.
Hmm.
And if it upsets you, good, because you're going to learn something tonight.
That's right.
The damage, right? The damage is that the physics of chasing a thrown object involve rapid acceleration, full sprint, sudden hard stop, shortcut turn, jumping, and coming back down. Let me know if anything that I've said it does not make sense. Think about it. You
Yeah.
throw a ball, it's bouncing. That puppy has to accelerate, full sprint, sudden hard stop, sharp cut turn, and is going to jump up and down and try and get the ball. Every one of those stops creates extreme rotational torque. You've heard me talk about torque on this platform before. And it creates rotational torque out of all places. Can you guess where it creates the most rotational torque, Mike?
I would say the hips,
You're close.
maybe the elbows.
You're further away. But
I would say the hips and shoulders.
where I'm about to tell you, you probably couldn't guess. On the stifle.
Oh,
The
yeah.
stifle. Joint, and you did hit hip. Joint and hip socket. So the stifle, joint, and hip socket is where you're going to really hone in as far as the torque that you're putting in, right?
Yeah.
We all know our puppies grow a lot faster than the soft tissue is able to grow with it, right? So one of the best things that you want to do is allow the puppy to grow and allow the soft tissue to catch up, because the blood supply to soft tissue, you don't have an artery that feeds blood to soft tissue. It gets it through distribution, right? So it's going to get the blood at a lot slower pace than everything else that's growing. So on a puppy with open growth plates, right, and underdeveloped cruciate ligaments, right, you're loading those structures in exactly the way they're not designed to be handled, right? So before you say my puppy loves to chase ball, I know they love it, right? All puppies love that, right? Right? But that's not the question. The question is, what's it doing to their stifle at 12 weeks, right? Love does not fix a torn cruciate at 2 years. Think about it. That torn cruciate at 2 years, that could actually be set up when that puppy's 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 weeks old.
Most definitely.
You could be setting all that up now. You're setting that dog up for failure by the time they hit 2, right?
Man, we keep it real simple. I don't let my puppies do a whole lot. I know it's hard because you want to play with your puppies. You want to run around in the yard with them and roughhouse with them a little bit, and they get fired up and they love to play and they'll chase anything, right? But it's like we just keep it real simple. I take them out in small groups, or if I put them all together, I make sure they don't have too much space to just get too turned up. Try to keep their movement down, man. I let them run around a little bit, but not a prey drive run. Just bouncing around a little bit's okay. But when they start chasing something or digging in, it's just too much, man. We try to keep it light. Let the dogs be in the best shape they can be when they go home, or
I could tell you guys, I have done flirt pull with my puppies. I will not raise it. I keep it low to the ground. We have a spring pole, which is now a tree pole because it's basically a rope tied to a tree. And the fireman's hose is literally 2 inches off the ground. That's it. That's all they get, right? I don't want my puppies jumping. That's the fastest way that you could ruin a pup. I love the fact that 83% know this. For the 17% that didn't know, hey, that's all right. Hopefully we were able to shed some light.
I'm actually impressed.
Yeah. Hopefully we're able to shed some light and you guys are able to pick something up here. The fix for this, guys, is like Mike was saying, free roaming play, right? Good directive, repetitive chase mechanics. They stop until they're 14, they stop by the time they're 14 months. Let the puppy choose when to run and when to stop, right? You can't stop them from accelerating and stopping on their own, but you definitely can stop from throwing a ball, right? This next one, and this is the last one, but this is the biggest curveball of all, I would want to say, for the night. I want to ask this first to you guys. I want you to just be honest. Let me know. How many of you have removed dewclaws from your pup's front legs? Little dewclaw, a little claw they got all the way up here, right? How many of you have taken that out? Let me know. Go ahead and drop your numbers, because the information I'm about to give you tonight, it's either going to convince you to remove the dewclaw, or it's going to convince you to never again do that, irregardless, right? And somebody says that that's my favorite word and it doesn't exist. Irregardless, I don't care. I'm going to say it anyways, right? But anyways, yeah, we got a bunch of y'all letting us know. 71% say they don't, yet 30% so far do. Please keep dropping your votes. I definitely want to see where this leads. So let me give you some info, man. Removing front dewclaws at 3 to 5 days old as a routine cosmetic or safety procedure. Some breeders will say so it doesn't get caught, because it does get caught. Them little nails are real sharp. Almost nobody questions this, right? This might be the most controversial thing I'm about to say tonight, so pay attention. And I want you to stay with me. Even if your first reaction is to push back, because the biomechanics here are not debatable. Biomechanics are what they are, right? So the front dewclaw is not vestigial, right? It's not just there for looks. It actively engages during deceleration, turning, and any movement where the carpal joint flexes under load. Carpal joint. Do you know where that is, Mike? The carpal joint?
It's at the back of the foot, right?
But the back of the foot, right where the pasterns are coming in.
Yeah.
Right? So think about it. That little dewclaw, believe it or not, is a support for that particular joint that is connecting directly to the pastern, right? Basically, you remove it, and every step, every turn, and every landing now loads the pastern differently. How do you like them apples?
That's interesting to know. That I didn't know it had that much of a function, but I've never heard of anybody removing them. I'm surprised to hear as many people were removing them as they said.
Yes, it is a thing.
Yeah, I heard it's a thing. I never see it, but I guess a lot of people still do it.
When you go ahead and remove it, it can progressively contribute to carpal hypertension and soft pasterns in adult dogs. How do you like them apples?
Well, that's something there. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I learned about this a couple of years back, but it was the opposite direction. So this female dog, who I wanted to buy a pup from, the breeding, I thought the breeding was perfect. But when I seen her, she had her pasterns were down. And I was like, man, and it gave her the slight high rear look. And I was like, I know it's the front pasterns, but what if she has joint issues or something? Because she wasn't overweight. Well, turns out I look at her and I noticed that dewclaws were taken out in the front, which made no sense because the dewclaws in the back were fine, which dewclaws in the back, they're not the most common thing, but all right. I just, when I was driving back, I didn't get the puppy. I don't remember for what reason it was. When I was driving back, I was just researching, looking up, and I was finding this stuff out, that the dewclaw is actually there, and even that little pad they got all the way up here is there to give support to the pastern and to the ligaments all the way down to the foot. So,
wow.
Yeah, you learn something, man, right? So, at minimum,
I always just assumed it was for climbing.
No,
but I guess not.
No, front dewclaws The front
I meant
ones.
the pad. Seems like
They have a biomechanical function. There's no debating that. The data increasingly supports leaving them intact so that you don't end up with, you know, a dog with East-Westy. Oh, I got East-Westy, but I don't have the dewclaw. You know, it just doesn't make sense, right? So look at that. We got 86% did not, 14% did. I hope the 14% that did are able to pick up and learn to not remove dewclaws going forward, especially if your dog's walking around looking East-Westy. Let me ask this to you guys tonight, those of you watching, right? Let me know how many of you are using NuVet and NuJoint. You can put either a 1 or a 4. Or if you're only giving your dogs just NuVet or just DS, okay? And I'm not waving my finger at you. I just want to know, and I want you guys to comprehend what I said earlier. They work in union. It's what makes things more complete. If you're only giving one and not the other, you're kind of missing it. It just is what it is. Majority of the people are saying that they're giving both. I'm glad to see that. The real, let me bring in one non-member comment saying, I heard of them doing that in pitch. I always thought this was as stupid as tail docking. Tails are used to protect genitals and also help with balance and other stuff, I guess. Oh, that's sad. They are thumbs. The dewclaw, I see my dogs use her dews when she's gripping things. Yeah. But they also use them like thumbs, I guess, when they're running around. Okay. Hiram says he's using 2 and 3. Okay, man. That's the same as 4 or 1. So that's good. Well, I appreciate it, guys. That's pretty much all I got for you tonight, man. Mike, you want to chime in with anything, bro?
We've been using the combination, of both for several years now, and I haven't had any problems on my yard with the things that they help with. So I can say that, I wouldn't take it away when it's working. I haven't had any of those issues. So
yeah. I just wanted to throw this picture up there, man. The 3-day procedure that's ruining the front structure. I think a lot of people after watching this are going to at least think twice before they go ahead and swap that out. Before we roll it out tonight, let me bring in my dude from the back. What is going on, my bro?
Yes, sir.
We missed you last week, man.
Yeah, I just don't understand the point. Like, who gets it in their head to cut off a limb? To me, it just seems like, man, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Why would you just go cut that thing off? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Hey, man, everybody's got beliefs, Kyle. You gotta respect.
I get it. I get it.
Jews,
Just, man, I just don't get it.
Jews, they cut off things that we all think are needed in case of a fire or something. Who knows? I'm just saying. Oh, start us off, man. Start us off.
Your boy Hollywood Holland, your boy in the back of the queue. We're catching you on the next one.
Michael H. Miguelito Hernandez.
Money Mike, Creek Bank Kennel out of Arkansas, man. Your co-host with the most. We'll be catching you on the next one.
Guys, you already know, man. We drop this every Monday at 8 p.c.s.t. If you want to tell us to talk about something in particular, keep in mind, if you're a member, I'm going to be listening to you more. Make sure to drop after the live, drop a comment, let us know. Either way, man, I want to thank you for tuning in. It's been Raul from the queue, and I'll be catching you on the.
We are going for a whole hour, straight dog talk, and the song. Jump on in and speculate. Show up on time, don't be weak and late. We are community, so don't hate.